Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today I'm going to make a gravity and muck dyed geode shirt. To begin, I'm going to divide the shirt in half diagonally, and I'm going to use a straight edge and a washable marker to draw a diagonal line to do that. I'm going to fan fold the line and then I'm going to tie it with some sinew. I'm choosing to use sinew because I want there to be a very definite line between the geode portion of the shirt and the gravity dyed portion of the shirt. Because the sinew is wax coated, wherever I place that sinew line is going to create a white line because the dye won't be able to get underneath that line to dye the shirt. When I'm tying this line with sinew, I'm going to wrap the sinew around the line, and then I'm going to leave my hand flat as I gently start to pull the sinew tight. I want to make sure that these folds don't buckle when I start to pull the sinew tight. After I start to tighten it down, I'm going to make a couple more wraps and continue the tightening process until I feel like I have the sinew as tight as I can get it. Then the top part of the shirt is where I'm going to place the geodes. I'm going to tie the geodes like normal. I'm going to find a place where I'd like for a geode to be, pinch the area where I'd like for the center of a geode to be, and then slide my hand down to where I'd like for the bottom of the geode to be and start tying from there. I think when you tie from the bottom of the geode out toward the center of the geode, it helps make the geodes more of an unusual shape and makes them look less like bullseyes. Makes them look more natural. I'm going to put as many geodes in this area as I can, and I'm going to try to vary the size of them, as well as how many lines I put in each one, the distance between the lines. I want to try to keep them as random as possible. Believe it or not, it's hard sometimes to be random. It's pretty easy to kind of get in a rut and make them all look the same. So at this point, I can't fit any more geodes on the shirt, but I want to do some definition lines in between the geodes. So I'm just going to tie some random lines in between all these geodes. That's going to help flatten out the geodes a little bit too and make them a little easier to apply the dye to. Okay, so I thought I would try some pink and gray for this one. So for my setup, I have a metal shelving unit, which I've placed outside, and I've placed a plastic container, which I purchased from the Dollar Tree dollar store, on top of the metal shelving unit. I put the geode portion of the shirt down into that plastic container, and then I've left the other part hanging over the container. Down on the second shelf, I'm going to place another one of these containers to catch any of the runoff. I mentioned that I was going to muck dye this shirt, and what that means is I'm going to place the dye in the ice over the top of the shirt, and I'm going to allow the shirt to process down in all the runoff from the melting ice and dye. That's called muck. I'm going to place the dye in the various sections of the geodes, but I'm doing it randomly. I don't want to use any kind of a specific pattern. I want to randomly place the dye. And then in the area in between where all the geodes meet and I did the random sinew lines, I'm going to just sprinkle some dye in that area as well. I have the dye colors that I've used listed down below, but let me go ahead and give you the ones that I'm using. I'm going to use brushed steel, charcoal gray, gunmetal gray, silver lining, amethyst, and peony, which are Dharma Trading Company colors. Then I'm using boysenberry and mulberry, which are both Prochemical colors, dusty pink and passion fruit from Custom Colors, and aurora, which is a dye spin color. Now over the top of all the dye, I'm going to place some additional soda ash. Then I'm going to add a layer of ice. I want to add quite a bit of ice because I want it to sit all the way down in the muck, and I want the shirt to have plenty of muck to pull down through the shirt to gravity dye the rest of it. So when I did this shirt, it was a nice 80-degree warm day, and it was all going really great, except the sprinkler system was on, and so it basically kind of rained on the shirt. That's the layer of water you see sitting on top of the muck. So it watered down my muck quite a bit. It wouldn't have been a huge deal except that I already added a lot of ice because I wanted a lot of muck, but I didn't want that much. So it kind of hindered the amount of gravity dyeing that happened. I don't know whether it was because the shirt was too wet, or perhaps the sprinkler system washed the soda ash out of the shirt, or whether there was just not a whole lot of intense color down in that muck. I'm not sure of the problem, but I didn't end up with a lot of gravity dyeing on this shirt. I went ahead and left it for the full 24 hours, and I kind of figured the whole entire shirt would be a bust. But I took it to my utility sink and I started rinsing it in cold water to rinse out the soda ash, if there was any left in there. And then I untied it and warmed the water up to hot to rinse out any of the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. I went ahead and soaked the shirt in some really hot water, along with a little bit of Blue Dawn dish detergent to try to get out the excess dye. I changed the water out when it would cool off and continued that soaking process until the water was almost clear. Then I put the shirt, along with some Dharma's Professional Textile Detergent, into my washing machine, and I washed it using a hot water cycle. Okay, so the shirt has been washed and dried, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so this is what it ended up looking like. And it's not a total bust. I think it's a pretty shirt. It's just not what I was wanting, and it's not what I was expecting. I think that The geode portion of the shirt looks pretty good. There are some areas where I have a lot more white than I was expecting. And then down below that one sinew line, I do have a little bit of color where it kind of started to move down the shirt, but not a lot. It goes from pink and it just really just kind of fades back out into a white shirt. I do have one lone spot down on the bottom at the back of actual color. But like I said, it's not as bad as I was expecting it to be. I don't know. What do you guys think? I like the colors. I think they look really pretty, but the geode portion is just kind of eh. I like the way that sinew line looks though, that divides the geodes from the gravity dye. I've had several people say that it looks like a teeth x-ray, and it really does. It kind of has that look to it. So I think that this one could have been better if circumstances would have maybe been a little bit different. But for the most part, it's okay. Not my favorite, but not my least favorite either. So if you guys are enjoying the content on my YouTube channel, I sure would appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.